talking about the international institutions, I would say that to me, like while living in Pakistan, the international institutions to me are NATO, UN, IMF, UNICEF. And then there are two media organizations which for me they are always international organizations, CNN and BBC. And let's see what their role is in Pakistan. NATO. There are many European countries who are applicant for UNO membership, but they were not given. But Pakistan was given a non-aligned European NATO member, non-NATO European recognition as a European NATO member for peace, not for the peace, of course, but to war on terror. The IMF, the UN never gave IMF never gave us some money for education or health. They always gave money for military and military support and gadgets. For the last 12 years, Pakistan got $80 billion and $18 billion, and all for military purpose, from international organization. CNN and BBC, as I cut short, they are international organizations to some extent, everywhere they are. Pakistan has a more volatile relationship with India. They both are nuclear countries. In Kashmir, CNN and BBC reporters are fired because of business interests with India. Because they don't want CNN and BBC reporters to work in Kashmir region. There is no reporter from BBC and CNN. Okay, so now all this is to say Pakistan is always a democratic country, but whenever the democracy were derailed, it's by the international organizations. They always gave more money to dictators. Whenever there's a democratic regime, Pakistan never got any money from World Bank or IMF. Most of the time they got money from the dictatorial regime. At that moment, the Pakistan, almost 22% of their budget to total, they gave back to IMF. This money can be used for reconstruction and peace, like the Argentinian example, if they say no to IMF debt. And because of NATO is on the border there, and Red Cross always reach Pakistan whenever there's calamity, but they always do the basic work of giving tents or giving basic medicines so people shouldn't die, because this is the only condition when to the international organization, to any government can say no to debt to IMF. But if there is a basic where people are not dying and they have tents, then Pakistan can never say no to international organization where they have to pay money. So, keeping this to 2 minutes, I think that if I give my message, I don't know.
When we are talking about peace, peace has to start, as it was correctly said yesterday, with each of us and basically with the children. And therefore, this is a project for children, by children, and with the strong participation of children. It started in Peru, but as you are going to see, it goes around the world.
Means that no matter if you are 3 or 4 or 5 years old, you could be an agent of peace. So since early years of life, children first of all start wondering how is to be a peaceful world. First of all, we do research. On research, we ask children, how do you imagine to be a peaceful world? And we use all kinds of arts. We use storytelling, we use painting, we use narrative, we use theater, and we use puppetry. So, for instance, if you are going to see here this beautiful butterfly, this is a finger puppet. You put the puppet in your finger, and everything you have in your hand is your power. This was a research by which 5-year-old children identified that the butterfly, it should represent a peaceful world. It's beautiful, it looks fragile, but it's not fragile. It goes around the world spreading good things. What are these good things? These are the values that for a peaceful world, the children say, have to be solidarity, cooperation, honesty, truth. This is what kids think that this is important for a peaceful world.
And I can say that basically what I have said, love, theater, and play. El amor, el teatro y el juego son los elementos fundamentales de lo humano.
Also, kids value very much friendship. So they have chosen, because this is a project with a strong children participation, they have chosen Winnie the Pooh as an example of friendship. So what could it be the best friend of Winnie the Pooh? You have Tiger and you have Keyhole. So this is kind of global. So who are in today's world, in my classroom, in my family, in the street, my best friends? And what is friendship when we would like to live in a peaceful world? If we have many friends, perhaps we don't have fightings. Fightings that could be among little ones, fighting that could be in between adolescents, or even worse, fightings that could happen among countries. And since we try since early years of life that these fightings are to be avoided so that peace is embedded into everyone, we did another research, and the children came to tell us the most important ingredient for peace is love. And how do children 4 or 5 years old think about love? They do not repeat the word love. They think concretely, what is love? And love was represented by an animal with a little child, with a little baby. So this interaction between parents or between other people with the little ones is very important. That's what everyone with a peaceful heart remember the most beautiful experience that we all as adults have had as children. So now the mothers need this beautiful thing, this animal with a little baby and the kangaroo with a little baby, because this is an expression of love.
So this is based on part of the research I did with the university students about what are the very basic elements or values for when we are looking at the framework of peace education. So for peace is basically to have trust, freedom, tolerance, justicia, responsabilidad, diálogo, solidaridad, respeto, amor, empatía, creatividad, cooperación y honestidad.
If children have to understand that the basic for peace is to realize that the world is not only what surrounds the most immediate context. So we have here the intercultural puppets. Here I can show you puppets from the Andean area. So you have a woman and a man dressed the way our Andean people, let's say Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, dress. Also, the understanding. For instance, you have here other people from other parts of the world. Children are telling us, let me see this one. Oh, why this lady covers the head? You know, because we have here a family from perhaps the Middle East, perhaps an Arab country, but perhaps of a different religion that covers the head. And so kids from very early years of life understand that there are other people that might be different from the parents, might be different from their teachers, but they're also lovely human beings, and so they expand their understanding of world.
So puppetry, we use finger puppets because it's not that you put it outside of you, we put it in your hands. And so now this goes together with who need the puppets. The puppets are based on the design, on the drawings, on the narrative of the little children. And the mothers of these little children, these Andean women who are best knitters and weavers, are the ones who do the knitting. So you have there some of the photos there of our mothers that you can see. They are very typical mothers who do this knitting.
So we use all kinds of art because art is the most beautiful spiritual thing that we all have. And creativity is something that every single person is born with. So creativity is in you, and everything you wish is on your hands. So let's make the sign of peace in your hand so that everyone becomes an ambassador of peace. Thank you very much, Marta Llanos from Peru, Peace Ambassador.
My name is Metissia. I'm singer, author, composer, and I make songs, operas, and fairy tales. And I write philosophical and anthropological projects.
And political.
Anthropologicals.
Oh, anthropology is what I understand as political, because you gave me a paper here, the Charter for Peace.
No, that is the result of my research.
That's your research.
The research of what is very important inside of me and what is important for every one of us and what is important together.
As human society.
And the idea, yes, I like to imagine the interaction, the communication between everything, and the logical, and the result from cause to effects, and what is
And you're proposing some a charter
yes.
for peace. And this charter for peace has some 12 proposals here. Why do you think that we need these changes? Is you're not happy with the present form of
Yes, I find I like the word, but sometimes the cruelty of things make me think we can always do better. By one side, there is people who don't think about, don't take time to think about, so they don't think.
Yeah.
And there is the other who cannot because they are already in the system whereas everything is format. And there is the people who come and who are already formatted by the schools and who have also perhaps a problem of creativity by the fact that they already study what they have to do before to think about what they want to do. The objective for me is happiness. And he has to be inside of me. I have to find my happiness, so I have to be happy with myself. And
Isn't that the goal of all religions, to make people happy and loving with each other?
yes, but the religion is confused. I think every religion has the same goal for sure, and they are all for me the same, but they have a different kind of exercise for to arrive to some practice. That I have tested myself, because then you can get premonition, you can get a lot of things. It's technique, it's not something, it's invisible, but it's really technical.
It sounds like Buddhist meditation.
Yes, you can use also the Buddhism, it's the same. It's also the same objective and the same result. Whatever the practice, the exercise, you arrive to the same result when you are at the objective, which is to be on direct communication with God. But for me, God is an energy, and to be inside my this energy, which make me in life, it's to be in this energy inside of me.
Do you think that competition is one of the problems of our lack of empathy for each other? Because if I'm trying to make more than you, even if I don't need, that is hindering our caring for each other. Competition. You seem to have a little bit of an aversion with the word competition.
I want to abolish it.
You want to abolish the word competition?
Yes, because
Why?
it's criminal.
The word competition is criminal.
It's criminal. Because it's you or me. The people, and it's also very vulgar. It means it's unbalanced. When the people make competition in general, they measure what they have to do compared to the other. They don't listen to themselves, they don't make something logical compared to what they need or what they want or like. They do it in relationship to the other.
Yeah, yeah.
And that make a lot of crazy things in the system.
What would you replace competition with?
But about the coordination of all the diversity. And actually it's possible because we have so great technology.
So coordination would be the replacement for competition, is that what you say? Coordination of different personalities, different characters. Yes, coordination.
Yeah, no leaders, no somebody who think for us, but a system who allowed everybody to follow his way and to give the result of what he do for the society. And so in exchange I can imagine that the society like something which is really good as a basic income, because when you look at actually the money you spend for the job center, the money you spend for the old people,
Recycles in the economy.
the money you spend for the taxes system, the money you spend for the bank, for everything. But if everybody have the same money
Basic,
sharing,
yeah.
basic, you don't need all these structures and all these people working.
Now, there's a question that people usually throw back when you talk of basic income or minimum income, everybody working less and enjoying more, and they say, well, if you have what you need, then there is no incentive for anybody to do anything. They say people won't work, and
So-
nobody will do anything. Well,
so-
but the government is going to give you 1,000 euros every month, and you can lie on the couch. And what's the incentive to work? That's usually what people say.
Did you saw this book from a testimony from what is it? I forgot the name, about school from Samaria. It's a book about schools where the people are free to study, the children are free to study or not. And for sure they can play 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6
Do
months.
nothing, look at the sky.
And then they have an idea, I want to do that. Can you help me to do it?
You want to do something.
And it's a successful school. I think they got a lot of success of the people going out from these schools.
What do you expect this to happen? Are you bringing it to the politicians? You're making a survey here where people agree or disagree with you, or add some new ideas. Do you want to give it to a politician and see if they can legislate it and become law?
Well, actually, it's not anymore possible in Europe that a politician be allowed to do something, because the money power have gone in the hand of economist people, and they dirige by the power the choice of the politician too. So I'm not sure that actually there is politicians who are free. The politics don't exist anymore. There is a economy market with interests.
You're saying they're puppets of the financial system.
They are prisoners about
Prisoners.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
They depend still more than ever about the economic choice, and the economic choice are made by industries. So a private society would decide about what is their own interest, and in an economy form, so that means in a financial side. So this system actually don't care anymore about social and people and well-being. It's
So how can we change it?
I don't believe in people. We can see from the beginning of history of the world, people are not reliable. Why we need somebody to dirige us? It's just so stupid. We prove it. We prove it 10 million thousand times. People are not reliable. It's just stupid to delegate the power to somebody. And it's just a big danger. It's a poker party. It's not right. We can with the system we have about computer and all, we can create structures who are the same for everybody, and that everybody inside the structure be free to organize themselves.
So you're
law.
saying it's possible. It's possible to change society, and it doesn't have to follow the same political system that we have now, because people can create new systems of governance.
Yes,
Distribution of
exactly.
work, distribution of wealth.
The informatic and the computer generation offer a new dimension of politics. We enter in a new dimensional, and I think a lot of people don't realize already. But finally, computer is politic actually. I mean, it's a way to manage your yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think we have covered most of the topics that you mentioned here. So what's your project?
No, my project is to spread reconciliation, social reconciliation.
The idea of reconciliation.
Yes,
And where do you
But-
get this idea of reconciliation from?
from forgiveness. So I began with studying forgiveness. I'm interested in forgiveness.
Okay.
From that point, I tried to have the big picture of the frame of forgiveness is reconciliation. No.
How did you get interested in the idea of forgiveness?
Because in my background, no, I am from the Basque country, and there was a epoch, no, of terrorism, a period when I was young, when I was little, no, and so I lived in an atmosphere of terrorism, no, and years after, no, I realized that it was important, the reconciliation and forgiveness. To can build a society, no, and then I was interested in this, no,
Yeah.
because my background is not, but I am a lawyer, no, so
Okay.
it's a shift in my
Your part of the society was suffering terrorism.
yes,
And then you start wondering, why is it happening?
yes,
And
That's
then
it.
you start looking into
yes,
the solution.
you set questions and you try to answer them, no,
And
and
then-
now that terrorism is finished there, now is the moment to manage the past. So that is the point, no.
Okay.
What can we do with the past?
Yeah.
And there is what forgiveness fits.
And then you start looking into the theories, the ideologies of how to reconciliate.
Yeah.
And
That's-
what did you find out? How to reconciliate people?
Well, the first thing is that it's very difficult, no? So it's not easy, no, to manage
To reconciliate.
to deal with the past,
Okay.
no, personally and even more difficult in a society, no?
Legally.
Yeah? Not just legally, no, legally and in a social way, no. So it is not just to because of this is the restorative justice, no. So it's not just from a legal, strictly legal point of view. So the thing is, it is not enough putting the people in jail, no, in prison. So you may do, we shall do something more, no? And that's because I'm getting in the Truth Commission of South Africa, because this
Okay.
Truth Commission put on the table these two lines, no, that are restorative justice and reconciliation, no? And the restorative justice was the target of this kind of justice is to focus on victims, not just in the wrongdoer. That's the retributive justice. So if someone commits a crime, it's not just putting him in prison, but also to take care of the victim.
Restorative justice is to heal the victim as well as the perpetrator.
Yes.
And what is the difference with retributive justice, between restorative and retributive?
In the same in a crime, you have many effects, no? But there are two main effects. The first one is that you break the law, and so there is a disorder from a juridical point of view, and that's the retributive justice looks mainly to the needs of the state, is to balance
Bring justice.
the order that has been
disruptor with the crime.
Okay.
That's retributive justice.
Okay. Okay.
And
usually it's punishment for a wrongdoing.
yes,
With
that's
its jail
that.
time, okay.
That's that. But with this kind of justice, you don't take care properly of the victim,
Mm-hmm. You don't take account of the suffering of the victim.
the suffering of the victim, perhaps psychological suffering, revenge,
Mm.
all these kind of things. So you have to, the government shall take care of the victims, not just balancing a disorder, a
Yes.
social disorder,
Bringing order.
broken by the law.
Yeah.
That's the difference between retributive justice and restorative justice.
Mhm. Because the law can legislate that you shall reconciliate, but if individually you're wounded and you can't get rid of this hatred for the other person,
Yeah.
then you cannot legislate me to stop hating someone.
That's it. So the reconciliation goes beyond the law in some point of,
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
some point of view, no?
Uh-huh.
And there is a lot of time when it cannot be complete, never.
Mm.
So if someone kills your
Brother,
a relative,
mother,
you can't recover your relative, so you will never have justice.
yeah,
You will have some justice,
yeah,
and you will say, if I don't have all the justice, I will never reconciliate.
yeah. So
And this happens a lot of times.
but it's an individual decision in this case to try to overcome that hatred. Because I know some cases in Palestine, there was a medical doctor that wrote a book, I Shall Not Hate.
Yeah.
Israeli jets bombed his
I
family.
read, yeah.
He read this
Very
book,
interesting
yeah.
book.
And he made that personal decision
Yeah.
not to hate, although legally it was dismissed
Yeah.
because it was apparently a self-defensive tactic of Israel. But emotionally, his individual feelings, he had control over it. And he could say, I shall not hate. And he made an effort and he came out of it. So I think there are cases when the government may not be able to legislate something, but the individual can work
No,
on it.
but the government what can do is create a context, but never oblige to forgive or to reconciliate.
Because you can't.
You can't. In the same way, you can't legislate to hate.
That's right.
So
That's right.
it's not.
Uh-huh.
The state has nothing to say about that.
So you're saying that even after the worst conflict or situation, there is a human need for reconciliation. There's an individual drive or need, internal need for reconciliation. Whether later the flow of things or the gravity of what happened allows this to happen, that's the second question. But
There's a wound.
There's a-
could be very deep.
so if the wound heals or not is a different question, but
Yes,
there's a wish to heal the wound.
I think so. Yeah. Okay.
Jaime, thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome.